This is Rob Thompson, Charger Career Connect. That's Kelly Quigley over there, alum from 2018. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm good. How are you?
Life is good here in sunny Florida. So, nice and
Love it,
warm. I know. Well, it's my turn. I tell everybody I get a year. Just give me a year to like do the pictures on social media and brag about it. So I get a year.
All right, I'll give it to you.
Thank you. So we got Kelly, and we're going to talk a little bit about a lot about her current career and kind of her transition from being a student athlete and how her focus is and what she's doing. She's, there's not a lot of 65% of kids that study a certain subject don't go into that as a career. A lot, especially in sport management, because it's such a hard business to crack into. So we want to talk about that. But this is for you. If you're obviously moms and dads and current student athletes, you're watching. This is our mentorship program. This is a way for you. Hopefully something resonates that Kelly says. And we talk about on the show. We have a series of this show. This is series, I think, number 14 or so. And at the end of the semester, we're going to do a little bit more with a panel discussion, bring everybody back on. Kelly, at the end, we're going to tell you how you can reach out and connect with her as well. So here we go. So Kelly, talk about where you're from. How'd you end up at New Haven? Why'd you choose New Haven? And we'll start there.
Sure. So I'm originally from a small town, Massachusetts called Tewksbury. Like many athletes, multi-sport. I ran track, did soccer, and played basketball as well. Ended up really wanting to focus on soccer and knew I wanted to, pursue an opportunity in college. So I was lucky enough to grow up on a soccer team called Scorpions out in Braintree, Massachusetts. Played with them for the majority of my youth into high school. And through that experience in league, I was able to get, in front of college recruitment coaches. And I had great coaches that, vouched for me, pushed for me, taught me about the recruiting process and things like that. And like you and I were talking about earlier, just really supportive parents and looking into the avenues and all the different schools, making sure that, my interest in the university was the same as well as the sports program that I'd be pursuing. So, you really want to focus on not just where you're going to play, but also where you're going to be for 4 years. It's really going to be a home and educational experience and where you're going to get your degree. So took all those things in consideration and met with Coach Duncan at New Haven, did a tour, fell in love with it, fell in love with meeting the girls, and then decided that was where it was going to be. And at the time, I didn't know I wanted to do sport management. I really was interested in business and hospitality, but once I got to New Haven and learned of the program, I immediately switched and kind of went into it, and it was the best decision I ever made. I loved the department, the staff. They're so helpful. I mean, one of the biggest things I'll say is network, but ask for help when needed. And I think if Dr. Mumke or Mahoney ever watch this, they'll say that I've barged into their office on more than one occasion asking for guidance. So I think that that's super important to know moving forward. And then just doing little things, in between semesters and even during the semesters, I had countless different internships. I was with a amateur baseball team doing marketing and PR for them, game day operations. I worked for the Connecticut Sports Management Group out in Middletown, Connecticut. That was a great experience. I was a site director putting on tournaments for all different sports, and they actually relied really heavily on their interns. It was only a nonprofit, 3 full-time staff environment, and so the 6 to 12 interns they brought in did all of the legwork. So a really great experience there. And then, post-graduation, I was able to land a job at the Connecticut Junior Soccer Association. And that was also, a great experience. It was in my realm of sports and soccer. I was able to, build the youth and spread the game, which is just such an important aspect of what I do now as well. So really just taking all those mini steps to eventually get to where I was today, which is working for Edge Sports Group, which builds and operates sports facilities throughout the Northeast and across the country. So building sports facilities and, again, creating programs and relationships with the community to bring sports to kids is just such a fulfilling work, environment. So I'm really lucky that I found this, and I didn't stop. Even when people told me that you could find another job in a different industry, I think, if you really want to do something, do it and make it work. So.
Yeah, you said something very important in there, barging in you know, barging in to see Jada and Kim. I mean, you know, the world doesn't wait for you, right? You
Right.
have to go after it. And you realize that is, you know, you got to get in. Everybody's willing to help, but
Mm.
you want to have to, and you certainly wanted to help, you know, and you went after it and you went through a series of internships and your discovery process of how you, where did you fit into this? Was it facility management, operations, sales and marketing,
Mhm.
and sponsorship? Where you are now on the marketing and sponsorship side, what was that point where you said, "Man, I really like this part. I really want to, you know, go after this," or was this a job that they said, "Hey, Kelly, this is your best fit. This is where we see you." How did that work?
I mean, even, during the 4 years of being part of the women's soccer program, I really came out of my shell and flourished on in an extrovert kind of way. So I knew I wanted to work with people and be face to face and talk to people. And so throughout the internships, there was a couple desk ones. I was working in the compliance office with Yale at one point. So, you know, in the office most of the time. And then, I had the game day operations and site director internships, and I was out and about on my feet, working with people. And so I eventually, found my way into marketing because I was able to create partnerships and foster those relationships, but also, get my toes wet in other areas with, social media marketing, websites, graphic design, all these different things. So it really was, funded from all these different experiences. I definitely think it's important to do a bunch of different things in each field: facilities, marketing, sponsorship, sales, until you find something that you really like and you find your niche. So I think it took, honestly, all 4 years, but then eventually, you figure it out and it works out.
Yeah, I mean the same thing with your career, right?
Yep.
It's still evolving. You're still trying to figure it out. You know, you're learning something, even though every situation you might be in earlier on, you may not always be making the most enough money, right?
Yep.
And like a smaller operation, even though you guys are pretty big, you know, you kind of nothing's ever perfect,
Yeah.
you, right? But you can learn something from some good people. So talk about, and there's always going to be challenges, you know,
Mhm.
there's always going to be challenges that you have to overcome, but let's talk about the challenges that you faced at UNH. You know, you're a student athlete, which is very difficult, you
Mhm.
know, to do. Even it doesn't matter what level. So you guys were regimented in your structure, and and Coach Dunkey is the best,
Mhm.
and Foggy. So we have unbelievable people and support that you had there. But what were some of those challenges, anxieties, stresses, things that you worried about now that you kind of look back at it? Like how did you overcome those challenges?
Sure. So I'm a special case in the sense that I've had quite a few knee injuries. I had my first knee injury my senior year of high school, and then I had two more throughout my time at New Haven. So those were, and they were the 9 month recovery ones. So it was a long time of not playing and being on the sidelines and needing to find time to do something for myself. And so having people, like you said, Donkey, Foggy, Chris Friend, who's the athletic trainer there, they were so helpful, so supportive, and also focusing my energy when I couldn't play on my recovery, but also on the education piece. So people like Dr. Mahomey and Dr. Mumq and Gilfried, they, provided the internship avenues, or hey, join the SAC group because it's something you can do while everyone else is lifting, and all those sorts of things. So really just focusing my energy on my career and starting it off as early as I could have was something that got me through it, honestly.
You know, that says a lot about you as a leader because it's easy to tell everybody, "Oh, I just had a knee injury." Because how many people do you meet that said, "I didn't play college because I had a knee injury"? Well, a lot of people come back from knee injuries,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. I was not gonna not come back from it.
What
I
were
loved
Go ahead.
playing, so there was nothing that was gonna stop me from that.
You know, Kelly, I hire you just for that statement alone. Know, and because I just know sometimes it's hard when you're looking at a LinkedIn and you're looking at a resume to get into that want to factor and that strength, the mind strength and the psyche.
Mhm.
And that alone to me is like she could overcome all kinds of drama, all kinds of challenges. So that's congratulations for doing that. And
Thank
you
you.
know, so how have you found that mindset has transitioned over to, where you are now with clients saying no, challenges. We don't always have the best resources. People are saying, I don't have budgets,
Mhm.
I don't want to spend it. Where's your mindset? Because you're definitely not going, I give up. You're going to say,
Yeah,
I got to. So
exactly.
what is that like for you on a daily basis?
Sure. So obviously with COVID, I get told no a lot. From a budget standpoint, from just, we're going through a pandemic. What do you mean you want a partner? Things like that. And I really do just do my research. I take a step back, see how what I do can benefit them, see what their wants and needs are moving into 2021, and just see how it can be mutually beneficial. I mean, the thing about our environment is that we deal with multiple different sports as well as sports recovery, sports performance. We even have academy programs, so you have the educational piece there as well. So it's not like I'm just trying to sell, a Red Sox Fenway Park board ad. I'm trying to sell you an experience and really get you in touch with all of the things that ESG has its toes in. So really just sitting back and doing the research and doing the legwork to see what's going to work for them and also us.
Yeah. So, the that's such a big part of it too, right? It's trying to figure out the mutual benefits. Um, but when you look at your daily regimen, I mean, how structured you are, UNH, you really had to focus, you had to schedule. I'm sure you're writing down your time, you had to be everywhere.
Mhm.
How has that transitioned to your professional career? Because what I think a lot of people don't know is that we have a leg up as a student athlete because you already had that foundation, right?
Absolutely.
Of structure and the quality of character and showing up on time and effort and your attitude and all those things Coach Dunkey's been talking about transitioned over to this. Like, what is your routine now? Because homework doesn't end, right?
No, it only got more intense.
Right, right. Because there's money on the line now. So, what is your routine like? How have you had your routine at UNH, and how has it carried over to your routine now as a business professional?
Right. So I've always taken education very seriously. Even in high school, was never told that I needed to do my homework. I obviously just took it upon myself to do it, and I think that was important as a young student athlete too, because you're on the road for games. I mean, the team I was with was very intense, and we were all traveling all over the country. So you're doing homework in the car, you're doing homework on the plane, all these different experiences. And so that transition into college was pretty easy for me because when you're on the bus going to, even down the road to a different school, the work was already done because I knew I had to get it done in order to play. And so going into my professional career, it was just finding the little things that worked for me. I'm very much an agenda person, so I need to have my day written out of what I need to do today, and then whatever I need to do tomorrow, I look it over before I go to bed and make sure that I have it fresh in the mind for tomorrow. So for me, it's writing things down, a calendar, an agenda, and really, time management, prioritizing, what's important. So a lot of things that you learn as a young athlete are definitely transitioned into, young adulthood and the career standpoint. So really, again, just trying to find what works for you is so important.
Yeah, that is so true. Figure out, right? Figure out what works for you. So let's talk about this. This is the final question. Well, I got a couple more, but this is probably the hardest one. Advice that you would given to Kelly Quigley when she was 17, 18 years old, freshman at UNH, right? Going
Mhm.
into Bartell's for the first time with your tray, all the things you're thinking about, and then through that period of when you're leaving and you're graduating at the Oakdale, the now, and it hasn't been that long. You graduated in 2018, so it hasn't been that long out. What are the things that you know now that you wish you knew then that you could give yourself advice on?
Probably that you're capable of more than you think. There's one thing that I always kick myself for, even though I don't regret anything. But I kick myself for not doing the fast track program where you do your undergrad in 3 and then your master's the 4th year. Just because I'm so hard on myself and a perfectionist in a way. So, that you're probably say to myself that you're capable of more than you think, especially if you time manage well, prioritize, do all the right things. You can get so much accomplished. And there were times where I felt that I couldn't come back from the injury, or I didn't have time for this internship or this SAC meeting, but you push through and you do it. And I'm so happy that I pushed through and did it because it eventually paid off.
Yeah, it certainly paid off. I mean, like we talked about, there's not a lot of jobs that go around in this industry,
Right.
and you got one of them.
I did.
You got one of them, and it's only the beginning for you. And anybody that could come back and not use a knee injury or any other excuse to get out of something that they love and fulfill it for the 4 years that you gave an obligation to the school, as the school gave an obligation to you, and you
Yeah.
made the best out of it. And you're certainly one of those students that, if I talk to Gil and Jada and Kim, they'll all say she was a rock star for us, and so will Donkey. So, you left an impression on a lot of people here. So, nice job with it.
That. Thank you.
So, how do people get a hold of you? So, any students that are out there that said, "Hey, I want to pick your brain a little bit," how do they get in touch with you?
I'm, as a marketing person, constantly on my phone. So, LinkedIn is great. My email and phone number are on there. And then obviously through you or Donkey, all those people have my contact information as well. So if you can't find it on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook or get that information from the website.
Do you have any social that you share? Are you on Twitter or Insta that they can follow
Yeah,
you?
I'm on Twitter. Yeah, I think that's a public one.
Yeah.
I think they teach you that pretty early on, that your brand identity is important. So
Yeah.
be public and be professional.
So what's your handle on that one?
It's just Kelly Quigley.
Perfect.
Yep.
So Kelly Quigley, this is Rob Thompson. This is Charge Your Career Connect. Remember, you can schedule one-on-one career coaching with me on my email. Below is that, as well as a career assessment, and then a link to my sports dream job playbook that will hopefully give you some ideas, not just on the sports industry, but you personally, who are out there seeking a career after you get out of UNH, and then I'll come knocking on the door looking for donations later on. So that's Kelly over there. This is Rob. You're watching Charge Your Career Connect. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.